Right now at noon, the fines are set for marijuana offenses in Joplin.
And radar showing quite a bit of rain and shower activity this afternoon. I'll tell you what that means in our forecast.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen tries to ease fears and says the nation's banking system remains sound.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Joplin City Council votes to follow state laws when it comes to crimes involving marijuana. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, council members last night approved an ordinance making the city compliant with new state laws related to punishment for certain marijuana crimes. Now, fines for smoking marijuana in unauthorized public places are now $100. Other marijuana offenses have fines capped at $250 for the first offense, $500 for the second, and $1,000 for subsequent violations. The council also approved a revised step pay plan for its city workers. The plan adjusts annual salaries for positions with the city. It also establishes a few new positions: the neighborhood improvement supervisor, a project coordinator, and a lead building inspector. Missouri's Attorney General issues an emergency regulation against gender transition interventions for minors. Andrew Bailey's move on Monday comes as the Missouri legislature debates the SAFE Act. David Amalotti takes us to the state capitol where protests continue today.
And we are going to make sure that we protect children in Missouri.
Hundreds of supporters turning out to back the Missouri Save Adolescents from Experimentation Act. If passed, it would prohibit physicians from performing and referring gender transition procedures to minors.
I view this as something that's protecting children. Children under 18, I don't believe, have the ability to give informed consent to a procedure that really has lifelong, lasting effects. So we just want to see kids protected until they're an adult and can make that decision for themselves.
Chris Barrett leads the Missouri chapter of Gays Against Groomers. He says he has no issue with trans adults, but says children do not understand the long-term consequences.
Most of the kids turn them to just be gay kids or bisexual. And to me, that just feels like we're doing some sort of medical conversion therapy on gay people. And so it's hard for me to support something like that when I'm seeing basically an attack on gay youth.
Not everyone agrees. Robert Fisher with Promo says, quote, conversations around revoking access to gender-affirming health care for trans kids focuses on an argument that they are too young to make these decisions for themselves. However, no child is making these decisions by themselves. It takes a team of medical professionals from various practices, the child, the child's family, and sometimes even their loved ones to determine an individualized path of care, end quote. Now, Planned Parenthood of the St. Louis region in southwest Missouri also speaking out about Attorney General Bailey's emergency order. The group's Dr. Colleen McNichols saying, quote, Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey's transphobia is an embarrassment to the Show Me State. In Jefferson City, David Amalotti, News 4.
The Attorney General's emergency regulation will last 30 legislative days or 180 days, whichever is longer. Well, it's been a wet morning across the 4 states, and will this moisture stick around? Meteorologist Sam Lane joins us with a first look at the forecast.
All right, thank you very much, Tanya. Yeah, we've had quite a bit of rain across the area this morning, but notice in the last few hours, it's now starting to shift more towards the east. But this is round one. We have several rounds of precipitation to go in our forecast, but at least for today, it looks like the showers are starting to move away a little bit. Right now, we have the heaviest showers from north of Fort Scott down to just south and west of Nevada, down to Drywood. That's all moving off towards the east, and other heavier showers near Fairplay and near North Morgan right now, east of Stockton. Rain chances are pretty high right now, but then notice they drop off significantly as we head into the afternoon hours. And if you're suffering from allergies, it looks like we're going to have a pretty good day today, 5.7 on a scale of 12. But watch out for tomorrow. It's going to be 11.3 out of 12. So the allergy sufferers are really going to be dealing with it tomorrow. I'll have more details on our forecast coming up.
All right, a lot to look forward to. Thanks, Sam. Well, law enforcement in New York are on high alert in case a Manhattan grand jury decides to indict former President Donald Trump. Days ago, the former president predicted his possible arrest and called for protest. It all stems from the Manhattan District Attorney's investigation into allegations that Trump may have falsified records to hide a hush money payment to former porn star Stormy Daniels, which Trump denies. Federal officials seek to calm nerves about the U.S. financial system, declaring the banking system is safe and secure for all. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen delivered that message during an address to the American Bankers Association meeting in Washington. But the message was meant for anyone who has their money deposited in a U.S. bank. Skylar Henry has more details from Washington, D.C.
Banking stocks are up after Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen reassured America's bankers that the government may still step in to protect the deposits of all of their customers, just like it did with Silicon Valley and Signature banks.
Our intervention was necessary to protect the broader U.S. banking system. And similar actions could be warranted if smaller institutions suffered deposit runs that pose the risk of contagion.
Intervention may also still be necessary for First Republic Bank, despite nearly a dozen larger banks pouring in $30 billion to keep it from failing.
We're continuing to monitor conditions closely. My team and I have been in close communication with many of you.
CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger says the investment may not be enough to save First Republic.
Despite 11 banks putting $30 billion into First Republic, $70 billion has left that bank this month.
This comes as the Federal Reserve has begun a two-day meeting to discuss whether it needs to raise interest rates again to continue to combat inflation. Some investors are calling for the Fed to hold off on raising rates because higher rates are at least partly to blame for the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank in California. On the other hand, not raising rates may send a signal that the Fed is concerned about the banking system.
If we are really believing that this is mostly about confidence and we need to shore up confidence, I hear that the most likely path for this two-day meeting is a 0.25 percentage point increase.
Fed Chairman Jerome Powell will announce the decision Wednesday. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Washington.
Well, Powell is likely to face tough questions during his press conference Wednesday, since the Fed was Silicon Valley Bank's primary regulator, and it was aware of issues at the institution for more than a year before its crash. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, a brewery in Germany creates the world's first powdered beer. And later, we're making Canada tarts in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. A German brewery is creating a stir with what it claims is the world's first powdered beer. While it's a concept some connoisseurs may have trouble raising a glass to, creators say the concept is all about helping the environment. CBS's Tina Kraus reports.
A novel idea is in the hopper at one of Germany's oldest breweries. Brewmasters say the future of beer is here. Just add powder, water, and stir. We've invented a completely new product, says General Manager Stefan Fritsche. Beer powder like this is the first in the world. Creators say the eco-friendly concept could cut the need for bottles, crates, and kegs, reducing the heavy carbon footprint of beer exports and slashing the weight of deliveries by 90%. Fritsche says we could save up to 5% of CO2 emissions in Germany alone. Worldwide, it could be a gigantic sum. Makers say the first tastings of the powdered beer, dubbed the driest beer, have been promising, delivering a real beer taste, light or dark, complete with carbonation and the signature froth. But the intoxicating invention is alcohol-free for now. Brewers are hoping to add that element in the final stages before rolling out the powdered potion to the market by the end of the year. Tina Kraus, CBS News.
Interesting. The same brewery in East Germany invented an anti-aging beer nearly 20 years ago that was released in the U.S., Poland, and South Korea. Still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
Join us today as we cross the Canadian border in search of an international pastry that many say is Canada at its best.
And we're tracking your rain chances for today as well as the next system that's coming up. We'll have the details when we come back. Well, friends, we have had a rainy Tuesday so far this morning, and the rain is now starting to move out, but that's only the first wave of many waves to come in our forecast. Let's take a look outside right now at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort in Seneca, Missouri. You can see the wet pavement there, and on radar you can see those showers still over in our area, especially in southwestern Missouri, and we're going to see these showers continue to move off towards the east as we go through the day. And once they move out, we have more showers behind, but they're going to take a little bit before they get here. We're going to see some showers tomorrow morning, especially up towards the north. Let's zoom in on some of the heaviest activity up near Stockton. Earlier, they have now moved over to the east. You can still see a heavier shower there near Montevideo to the north and west of Jericho Springs. And rainfall amounts have been generous in some areas, around 1.3 inches over here in Nowata County, also close to an inch, in fact an inch down in McDonald County over into eastern Ottawa County, also close to an inch up towards the north and southeastern Bourbon County there near Stockton. So some generous amounts in the region. Right now we're looking at temperatures in the 40s, so it's kind of a raw day out there. 42 in Nevada, same thing in Stockton, 41 in Monette and Cassville for some of the coolest readings. And when you factor in the wind, this is what it feels like. It feels like it's in the 30s, lower 30s, in fact, off to the east in Mount Vernon with 34, 35 in Stockton and in Nevada. Dew points are up too, but of course that's because of the precipitation, generally in the 40s right now, 41 in Fort Scott. Right now in Joplin, under mostly cloudy skies with the rain starting to move away, we're looking at 44 degrees, and it feels like 38 out there with a dew point of 41, southeast wind at around 11 miles per hour. And in Pittsburgh, on the Can Drive camera, you can see this is on Highway 69. They're on the west side of town, 44 degrees, south wind at 10, feels like 39, and the dew point is currently 43 degrees. Now, with the next round of rain on Thursday, there is a risk of severe weather. It's going to mainly be down in southern Oklahoma, northern Texas, all the way down into the Big Bend of Texas. Here in our area, we're going to have the threat of heavy rainfall, and there's a moderate chance of that. So we're going to have to monitor that pretty quickly or closely for possible flash flooding with that system on Thursday. Precipitation chances today are going to be decreasing the afternoon. They may pick up a little bit as we go into the overnight hours, especially up towards the north. Then they drop off again as we head into Wednesday afternoon. Right now, let's take a look at the highs for today. Generally upper 40s to lower 50s across the area with southeasterly winds, the rain moving to the east. And then as we go into tomorrow morning, you can see some showers up towards the north with temperatures in the 50s. And then as we head through the day tomorrow, we're going to see partly to mostly cloudy skies with highs in the mid 70s out to the west. That'll feel nice. And 60s elsewhere with southwesterly winds. Then as we go into Wednesday night, we're going to see, in Thursday morning, we're going to see showers developing back up towards the north along a boundary that's going to be moving to the south with readings in the 60s on Thursday. Then that boundary moves in, and look at all the rainfall down to the south, mainly along and south of I-44 is where the heaviest is expected to be, with readings in the 40s behind the front, 50s ahead of the front. Then the system moves away and we start to see temperatures dropping in the 30s and the 40s. So the rainfall amounts for the rest of today are going to be on the light side. But notice as we go through Thursday, watch these rainfall amounts. Over 1.5 to 3/4 of an inch and 2 inches, maybe even some 3-inch amounts in some isolated spots. So it's going to be a definite wet one for your Thursday. But today, partly cloudy skies, maybe by evening, but the rain's going to be shifting eastward. And then as we head through Thursday, that's when the next big chance of rain is going to be. And then we dry out a little bit on Saturday with yet more chances of precipitation in our extended forecast. So at least we're getting the rainfall that we need, and temperatures are starting to be more spring-like instead of winter like we've been experiencing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you can't complain about decent temperatures finally.
That's
so that's
right.
Good.
And plus the rainfall is desperately needed in southeast Kansas.
All right. Thanks, Sam. Well, stick around. We're making Canada tarts after the break. Well, today we're baking a Canadian favorite for dessert. Howard shows us how to make Canada tarts in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
As our week-long series of international food favorites continues, today we're celebrating a dessert that's considered Canada's most highly regarded pastry, the butter tart. Once you sink your teeth into one of these bite-sized pastries, you'll know why they're so popular. To make them, we start by preparing a basic pie crust. After letting it chill for a bit, we roll it out just like we would if we were making a pie. Then we cut out circles and place them in a muffin pan. After all the dough is used up, we place a spoonful of raisins or chopped walnuts in each cup and top them with a mixture we made by combining some brown sugar with melted butter, a couple of beaten eggs, corn syrup, apple cider vinegar, vanilla, and a pinch of salt. Then we'll pop these into the oven. In about 20 minutes, they're done. It takes just one bite to appreciate what makes these so popular. The pastry is super flaky. The filling is buttery rich, and together, they're amazing. To get the recipe for what is known as Canada Tarts, all you need to do is visit our website or head north to the Canadian border. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a Canadian way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
They look tasty. You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4-state market prices.
All right, we have rain on the radar right now. That is all moving off towards the east, but that's round one. Round two comes on Thursday. If we take a look at our forecast, pretty good chance of heavy rain, and then we finally start to dry out as we head towards Saturday, but still rain chances several times this week in the forecast.
Yeah, get ready for a wet week.
I guess so. Spring is here.
What do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, at 5, did the pandemic put a crimp in your workouts? New findings show you are not alone. Why health experts say that's concerning because less movement could lead to serious disease risk. Plus, Northeastern Oklahoma A&M discusses its plan if and when severe weather hits campus. And the Environmental Protection Agency gives an update on the latest cleanup in Jasper County. Hope you'll join us for those stories. A lot more, of course. It's coming up today on KOAM News at 5.
All right, thank you, Dale. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at Noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.